Welcome to tonight's Tanya class. We are studying tonight chapter 50, Perek Nun. We reached a nice milestone. It's like going over the curve here. Which, by the way, the first section of Tanya, there's 53 chapters. Wow. So after tonight, we have 3 more weeks, and we're going to have a major party. Right? Hey, come on, we worked hard. This is like was like 2-year project. Right. Okay, right? 2-year project, I think we've been working on this. Okay, and you guys are all transformed, right? So like new people. Okay, so chapter 50, Perek Nun. Tonight's chapter in Tanya, as I say every week, because it's the mysticism of Kabbalah, and it's the written law of Kabbalah, like the Bible. So every chapter is unique, every chapter is special, and every chapter you learn something revolutionary, which hopefully you have not learned before, and we can grow from it. So tonight's chapter, and actually in English, you know what it's called? I made up the name. Just a disclaimer. I made up the name. I mean, maybe others thought of the same thing. But it's called Love of Fire. Ladies like the name. Hearts on Fire, right? This is called Love of Fire. Why? Because there's love of water and there's love of fire. Anyone know the difference?
Good, bad.
No, everything's good. Come on. You know that by now. Everything is God and everything is good, right? And everything is divine providence. That's all good. So tonight's chapter is called Love of Fire. Anyone?
Why?
Why, right? Okay. So the Alter, let's get ourselves some perspective. What we've been learning for the last many weeks in Tanya was that when we serve God, there's 2 components. There's the body and there's the wings. Just like in a bird, right? You can imagine a bird. You want to guys close your eyes, imagine a bird. You have the head, the body, and then you have the wings. So what is the essence of the bird? The head and the body. You take off the wings, it's still a bird. It can't fly, but it's still a bird. A bird that can fly. There are birds that can fly. But what happens if you have just the wings and no bird? That's not a bird. You have wings. It's not going anywhere either. It's not flying either anywhere, right? Or what's it flying? What's it carrying? So in other words, the same thing also. The body and the head spiritually refers to what? Prayer, Torah study, mitzvot, life. All the things that we do, to connect to God, whether it's prayer, Torah study, and mitzvot, that's the body. That means every day we get up, we pray, we put it on the checklist, we study Torah, checklist, we do mitzvot, checklist, right? We move around, that's checklist. That's called a body. That's called checking it off the list. But when do you become a live human being, someone that's flying in life, someone that's making headway in life, someone that's making a difference? That is when you have wings. Now what are wings? So wings we know is ahava, love, and yira and awe. So when there's inspiration, whether it's love, whether it's awe, now you have wings, and now you're starting to have life. Now you're starting to go places, because if you have no wings, you can take baby steps or big boy steps, but it's only steps. With the wings, you can start flying. So the Alter Rebbe explained that ultimately, if you want Torah and mitzvot and prayer to move, you need to have ava and yira. Love and awe of God. We spoke about awe at length, going back to chapter 41, so it's a couple of months ago. We spoke different ways to ignite the love that we have for God, meditation, inner love, and so on and so forth. You can go back and listen to the classes that are online on YouTube. Different ways to ignite it, and different levels of love. And there were many. So this week the Alter comes along and he says something revolutionary, as he does every week, and he blows our mind spiritually, and he says, guess what? Everything that we spoke about till now, about the love that we have for God, that we have or could have, that we inspire ourselves to do, we call out the inner love, that goes under one category. What is that category? That is called ava, love of water. Or another term, a love of kesef. Anyone know what kesef means? You guys know what kesef is? Kesef. Huh? Silver. Kesef is silver, exactly. Love of silver. Love of silver and love of water. Now, what is love of silver? And again, this is what we talk until now. But tonight he's going to introduce, in chapter 50, a whole new concept, and that is love of fire. Or, in another word, love of water is like silver, and fire is like gold. Very good. There you go. Exactly. Fire is like gold. Exactly. So up until now, it's all about water, and tonight it's about fire. Tonight it's about gold. In other words, what's the difference? What is the difference? And it's a major difference. A major difference. So let's first talk about the way the Alter Rebbe describes everything we spoke about till now. Again, all the different levels of love go under one category of love of water, love of silver. What does silver mean? So silver in Hebrew, how do you say silver in Hebrew? Kesef. There's another word in Hebrew which is similar to kesef, which is nichsoif nichsafta, where you basically yearning. You're yearning. There's a yearning. What is the idea of a yearning? What does that mean, the love of a yearning? And the author explains like this. The idea of love of water and the love of kesef, the love of yearning, the author explains as follows. God created what? A world. God created a world, and world in Hebrew is called what? Olam. What does olam mean? What is the word? What does he say? What does olam mean? It means world, but it also means what?
Whatever.
A part of world, right? Forever. But what does olam mean? Comes from the word of helen, concealment. So in other words, this world that we call a world, really what the world by definition really means, God is concealed. Because God's concealed, therefore we're calling it a world. If we were able to see God was revealed in this world, would we call it a world? No. We would call it God and godliness. So the world that we call world really means God's concealed. So therefore you can walk around this world, keep your brain in neutral, or in different channels, which I'm not going to mention here, right? Or your heart shut off. And what are you going to see? If your brain is shut and your heart is dull, when you walk around this world, what's the default? What do you see and feel?
You see the world and ego.
Very good. You see the world and you see the ego. Ego means you see yourself and you see the selfish, materialistic world. So if your mind is shut off and your heart is dull, when you walk around, what do you see? Your ego, other people's ego. How inspiring is that? Right? You're like in, it's like almost like in a coma. Comatose, right? Comatose life. But what happens if you want to be inspired and you want to start living? So then you switch on the brain and you open up your heart and you start feeling like Abraham. Who was the first person that thought? Who was the first person that thought? Well, Adam thought too, but he thought about drinking the grape, making a grapevine and getting drunk. So he had thoughts, yes, but those are different type of thoughts. Who was the one that thought out of the box? I'm not talking about in the box. Abraham. Who was the one that thought out of the box? So Abraham goes around and didn't just see the grapes and say, "Oh my gosh, let's make some wine and let's get drunk." He didn't think that. That was Adam, right? Correct. Let's get it straight. Abraham says, "No. There's more to the grape. Who created the grape? Who created the vine? Right? In other words, like this." Who wants to become young and stay young? Come on.
Everybody.
Can we get a raise of the hands from everybody here? Not everybody, see. I get some people here. You guys want to become young and stay young? You guys are thinking about it. Okay, that's fine. You can think about it. Okay. One of the signs of youth is what? Huh?
Dreaming. Yeah.
Very good. Exactly. Dreaming. Curious. If you want to, so in other words, young people are curious. So if you're, no one here is old, all right? So let's not get in trouble. And nobody watching this is old. Everyone's young. But if you want to get younger, right, whatever old you are, and you want to become younger, so you become curious and you'll become younger. Think about it. If a young person is curious, and that's why he's young, so if an older person, whatever old means, becomes curious, you automatically become young. You heard the expression young at heart, young at mind, right? So curiosity makes you young. Young people are curious. So Abraham switched his brain on, rather than putting in a default of sleeping, opened his heart and said, "Oh my gosh, who created this world? And let's not get too nervous, who created me? Right? Who created the table, the chairs, the building, the trees, the grass, the earth? I mean, again, if you're curious, is there a stopping to curiosity? There's no end. You can be curious about everything and anything and go deeper and deeper. And guess what? You will continue to be curious. Now, if you're curious and be more and more curious, what happens? You're getting younger. Oh, there you guys caught on. There you go. That's it. I got people over there dancing in a minute. That's how young you're getting. Okay. So you become more curious. As you become more curious, you become younger and younger. And as you become younger, you become more curious. So Abraham says, who made all this? And guess what? You start not being happy with the simple answers. You want something a little deeper. Don't say the carpenter made it. Okay, who made the carpenter?
Right.
You got it?
Yeah.
And come on, who gave that carpenter ideas? He created an idea. Really, where did he get the idea from? Who inspired? There you go. There you go. So what happens? You keep on going deeper and deeper, and because God's infinite, you can go infinitely deeper. And Abraham came to the realization, oh my gosh, there must be a creator that created this world. It's making it all happen. Okay, now wonderful. Now, is there anyone in this world that ever made anything? Huh?
Except God.
Again, it was not the question. The question is, anyone in this world that ever made anything? The answer is no. We never made. We put things together. We took different things and we shaped it. We never made anything. Nobody made a house. You took different components and you put it together and you have a house. We call a house. Nobody creates things. People put things together, assemble things, right? We form things, we shape things, right? But we don't create things. The only one that ever created something is God. Now, so therefore, we don't know the concept of creation. We don't really experience with it. We have the experience of formation, right? Taking things and shaping them, holding them together, whatever. Now, the reality is, when you take something, two things, and put them together, so they're together. But you didn't make it. The reality is, when you make something, not only do you have to create it, guess what? You know what you need to do? You need to maintain it. You ever see a house that's not maintained? Or a building that's not maintained? Or a car that's not maintained? Right? We don't need to have to go too far, correct? So something that's not maintained, right, starts falling apart. And that's something that you didn't even create. You just put together. How much more so something that was created? So God, A, created the world, B, maintained the world. That's what Abraham came to the realization. He goes, so if God is the ultimate creator, and God is the ultimate maintenance manager, maintenance director, right? We're managers. He's director, right? If God's the ultimate, well, you ask a question like this: you guys have water in your house? Mm-hmm. You pay a bill to somebody for it? You do, right? I hope. Yes, you're not going to have water. You have electricity. You pay a bill to someone, and so on and so forth, right? So you pay for things. You acknowledge it, and you pay for it. So how are we paying? How are we sending our bills to God? Anybody? Does he have PayPal?
Blessing him and being grateful.
You have his wiring instruction. How are you paying God?
By gratitude.
So God says one thing: just recognize and say thank you. The best way, and it's cheap, it's free, but for some people it's very, very hard, is all you need to say is, God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for creating me. Thank you for maintaining me today. And thanks for creating, maintaining parents, friends, children, work, the books, everything. Because whoever made this table didn't make it. God made it and maintains it. So God, thanks for continuing to maintain it so we can put our books and we can have the class and for the camera and so on and so forth. You can infinitely thank God. And that's what Abraham came along and did. Now, what happens when you are, and in simple English, you know what that's called when you thank? What's it called? There's another word for it. It's being grateful. So what happens when you're thankful and grateful? You know what happens? You are happier. You're happier.
You start to fly.
You start to fly, exactly. Because now you're not just dead weight. Now you see this movement in the world. There's someone that created and is maintaining. And if you start being thankful and grateful, it's you're like trying to run and catch up with God, and then God will throw you a few extra things to thank Him for. Think about it. If God gives you everything, right, and you don't say thank you and grateful, you think He's sending you more stuff? No. But if you say, God, thank you so much, this is great. God, thank you so much, this is great. He said, ooh, I like this guy. He's awake. Sends him another fish, right? And a bigger one. And guess what? God, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Boom, guys, send him another big fish. And you go, I got it, right? I can't handle it. So many blessings. But guess what? Oh my gosh. You create a relationship. So by you being thankful and grateful, you are continuing. Because God started the relationship. God is always first. He put you here. He created you. So by you thanking and being grateful, you're just continuing a relationship that God started. And guess what? You're throwing him a serve. It's like tennis. You guys play tennis, whatever sport you play, and God shoots you on back. And guess what? Now you have a beautiful game of tennis going. Now if you stop, guess what happens? The game stops. And you don't get any new balls. You might have the old ones, but come on, after a while they get dirty and you have to run around and pick up the same balls. Not exciting. So you want a new one. So as you start thinking about, right, okay. So what happens is, as you're thankful and grateful, what happens? You're in love. You're in love with God. You're in love with God. Now, when you're thankful and grateful, and you're in love with God, so what you really did is, you created an active, loving relationship with God. Now, so the Alter Rebbe says, up until this chapter, the whole level of love, any level of love we spoke about, it's love of water, love of silver, love of yearning. What does that mean, yearning? Again, when you're in this world, do you like the world? Yeah. Sure you do. You enjoy the world. You have a house, you have a car, you have friends, you have stores, you have physical thing, materialistic thing. Even the Torah books are printed on paper. So you like the materialistic world, but with all the fact that you like the world, you always remember your curious kid that stays in you, that God created it all, God maintains it all, and thank you. So now I'm in the game with God. I'm thanking him, and he's saying, no problem, let's send him more, and oh God, thank you so much. It's like the best thing you could have done for me today, right? That is called love of water. Why is it called love of water? Because you're really at peace. You're at peace. Love of water, if you ever sit by the water, it's very calming and relaxing. In other words, love of water, it's calming and relaxing. You're not fighting with yourself. You're not fighting with anyone else, for sure not. You're just really at calm and at peace with yourself. Sitting by the water, right? Whether it's sitting by the ocean or by the Gulf, or sitting even at home with just like a fountain, flowing water, or sitting by the pool is very calming. Why? Because there's no friction. Right? Matter of fact, they say it's the best exercise because it doesn't fight your joints, right? So in other words, water, it allows you to flow very freely. So think about it. God's giving you, do you like the world? Sure. But you also recognize that there's someone that created and maintained the world. So it creates a beautiful, loving, water type of love effect where there's no friction. You're basically complacent, you're calm, but on the other hand, you're not sleeping. You're alive with love for God. So that is called love of what? Of water. Love of silver, because again, what's something basic? Silver and gold. What's more readily available? Silver. It's much cheaper, it's much more readily available. So you can always thank God. Oh my gosh, the house, whatever, you walk out in the street, thank you God for the nice whatever. It's always readily available because you're alive, you're in this world. So the Alter Rebbe says, great, that's one level. But now he says we're going to learn about something totally different. And that's called the love of fire. What's the love of fire? The love of fire is you start thinking and you go even deeper. See, till now, the way the thought process worked, up until now, there's a world. God created it and maintained it. So you're at peace with the world, and you recognize that the ultimate power comes from God, and you're grateful and thankful, and you express that. God expresses it back. Love is flowing. That's good. That's a great place to be. And believe me, if we're holding there, then you're wonderful. You're doing great. But the life, you got to go up in life. Alter Rebbe says, now if you go a step further, and you start thinking about how great God is, this infinite God, and really, what's real? Real is infinite. This materialistic world is what? Finite. It's finite. Point A, it's finite. Point B, what do we call this world? With no insult, no judgments. What do we call this world? We called it something, right? But not a funny name. We just called it what it was. What is this world called? What do we call it?
Olam.
Olam, which meant? Concealed. God's concealed. I mean, think about that name for a second. I mean, isn't that like the biggest joke? God is everything. God has created this world, and you know what we're calling this world? Concealment. What are you saying? Think about the word concealment. What you're saying is that the truth is concealed. That's like calling this world, to me a little more frank, falsehood. A world of falsehood.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Now if you think about that name, it's actually kind of embarrassing. Right? Now let's go further. So I'm living in this materialistic world, and I say, oh my gosh, this world God's concealed. God, namely, the infinite power, the one that creates and maintains, he's so much more powerful than this concealed world. But guess what? I gave a name to this world. False, concealed world. Olam HaSheker, this false world. Now, if you start thinking about this, you want to start being honest with yourself, this world is ridiculous. This world is ridiculous. I mean, come on. What is this? What's the value in a finite world compared to infinite? It's like the biggest joke. It's ridiculous. Let me ask you a question like this. If money was not an object, money wasn't an object, there was nothing limiting you, would you want to wear again, money was not an object, and you're not into materialism, and just conceptually, would you want to wear a real, authentic, and again, ultimately, you see the problem, this is also fake, but we're going to use a fake example. Would you want to wear a real Rolex, which really, Rolex is really fake because it's all about God, but let's use a materialistic example. Would you want to wear a real gold Rolex with diamonds? Again, money was not an object. Or, no offense, to a simple Casio $9.99 watch. $9.99, paid out of plastic, right? You have to look at the battery, right? It looks like a piece of disgusting. Not that we're into materialism, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to get any wrong ideas. And I'm not saying that Rolex is better than a Casio watch. It's very possible a Casio watch is better than a Rolex. I know a lot of wealthy people that wear Casio watches, they want to bring that point. But that's because they want to bring the point. Would you want to wear, authentic...
Armani suit.
What?
An Armani suit.
Okay, I don't know what Armani is, but I imagine it's is that the good one or not the good one? I'm just kidding. But you want to wear like an authentic, Italian, right? Suit, I don't know what the type of wool, etc., spun, then organic and whatever. Or would you want to wear like, a piece of cotton on you? You know what I mean?
Something in the middle.
Not even spun.
I would like something in the middle.
You want to wear something in the middle? What? Half cotton and half wool? Okay, I got it.
A little bit fancy, but I wouldn't do it.
No, but again, you see, but the problem with the analogy is we're trying to be spiritual. Then we're trying to give a physical example. In other words, here like this. Okay, so let me give you a different example, right? If you had a chance to sit, I don't know how much we can handle, but let's say you had a chance to sit for 24 hours with you and God. 24 hours a day, right? And I say to you, the same 24 hours a day, you can choose to go to Disney World. It's a competition, fine. All right. Some of you have an interview.
How old am I in this?
Right, okay, how old am I, exactly. So let's change the example. I'm trying to find something you can relate to. Okay, let's get back. Okay. Let's say you have an example. You can either sit with Moses. Moses would come and spend 24 hours with you, and Aaron too, right? And to top it off, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Wow.
And Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Oh my gosh, I see nothing like it, right? People are getting excited.
I don't go to this.
Or you can sit with, and again, I'm not trying to make a judgment, with an ignoramus, whether by fault or not by fault, irrelevant, for 24 hours in the same room and have to have a conversation with them. I mean, let's be honest.
That's an easy one.
Okay, there you go. I finally found a good example. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm trying to find something that wouldn't offend anybody, right? Okay. Or like, for example, let's say you love. Okay, let's try something else. Let's say you love horseback riding, and you practice for the last 20 years, and you have a choice of spending 24 hours with a real, race type horse, or a plastic horse. They wind up. You pay 25 cents on the avenue, right?
Another easy one.
Is there an analogy? You guys are getting me? You're getting my analogies? Okay, I got everyone laughing. That's good. So we kind of accomplish something, right? No, but do you see the analogy?
Sure.
So the author says you're in this materialistic world, and you came to the realization, infinite God created and maintained the world, and He's out here. God's here. Albeit He's hiding. And guess what? Let's sit down with a paper cup that has some water in there, and you spend $6 in Starbucks. I mean, that's going to give me my joy in life. Come on. I mean, maybe for some people, no offense to Starbucks and the $6 cup of coffee, but the question is very simple. Well, I mean, would you even for a moment want to go?
No.
Is it even a comparison?
No.
You need some more analogies?
No.
Right? Okay, we got the point.
You
You got it. Okay, so in other words, the author says, you know what love of fire is? Love of fire is, I'm willing to give everything up. It means nothing to me. I'll give up my house, I'll give up my car, even at a private plane or a boat, right? All that. I'm willing to give it all.
You give up the silver. I'm giving up the silver.
No, giving up everything, the gold too. Silver, giving everything up. This is all narishkeit. You yourself called it a world of God's disguised and just materialism stuff. I want to connect with the infinite God. Right? Oh my gosh. Who wants this world? And you start creating a yearning to be with what and with who? With the infinite God. I want to be with the infinite God. Not only I want to be with the infinite God, I love that God. I love God. I mean, think about it. You think about, you have an opportunity to connect with the infinite God versus anything materialistic in the world. Where are you going? Is it even a question? God, all the way. So what happens is, now your soul, here's a trick. God took your soul, which is part of the infinite God, and somehow stuck into this materialistic body, which is only, an average, most 6.5 feet tall, some people shorter, right? How wide, how much you weigh, that's your whole physical mass, and it's locked into this body. I mean, you think about an infinite power and guess what? If I'm sitting in this room, I can't be sitting somewhere else. My mind maybe can be somewhere else, my heart, but I'm stuck here. Now, once I get out of this body that's holding me back, guess what? I can be anywhere and anywhere, everywhere at any moment. So what happens is, in Hebrew, it's called, I have kalois hanefesh. My soul just wants to leave my body. Why would I want to be stuck in this body, in this room, in this place? Why? There is no good answer. So therefore, nobody's saying anything, right? So obviously, I don't want to be here. So where do I want to be? I want to be with the infinite God. I yearn to be with God. I love God. My soul just wants to become one with God. Now Now remember, if you keep on going with this, you know what's going to happen. Let's say, grant you permission. Your soul is going to leave your body and cleave with God. What happens to your body? Gone. It's a goner. It's dead. The Chaver Kadisha come, pick it up, boom, bury it. Done. So you're willing to give your body, and it'll happen to your family and your friends and all your toys, right? Whether it's your car, your house, whatever it may be, right? Your private jet, your private yacht, all the stuff, nothing. It just rots away. I'm willing to give it all up. Why? Because God is infinite. That yearning is called what? Love of fire. I'm on fire. Think about it. I'm willing to burn it all down. No pun intended, right? I'm willing to burn it all down for the physical stuff. But more importantly, my soul is on fire to be with God. I just want to be with God. I want to leave. Now, a fire, you ever watch a fire? You ever do a meditation? Light a candle. Light a candle in your house at night. Close all the lights. And I do it a lot at night before I go to sleep. And you close all the lights and you sit and you watch the candle. There's stories there that go on phenomenal. But if you watch the candle, what happens? This is powerful. You have, whether it's a physical wax candle or if it's a container that has oil in there. So let's say, for example, in my case, you have oil. You have a glass container, and instead you have oil. So you have a glass container, you have a vessel, you have oil, you have a wick, and then you have fire. Now, if you look closely at what's going on in that space, so you have the glass that's containing everything. Without the glass, you're going to have a mess on the counter, on the floor, right? And it's hard to clean oil when it spills. Trust me, I know. But you have the glass that's pulling it all together. So you need that. You need a vessel to pull it all together. You have the vessel pulling it all together. In the vessel, now you have oil, which is contained. Now, the oil sits there. Then you have a wick. Usually we use a floater to hold it so the wick doesn't fall down. But anyway, you have the wick. You only have nothing. Then you take a match and you light the wick. You light the wick, right? And now you look closely. If you look really closely, you'll see there's different colors of fire. And it's interesting is, closer to the wick, where it's actually being burnt. It's a whiter fire. As it goes away, it's more yellow. But anyway, that's not my point. So you have the fire, the wick, and the oil. Now, what is the fire trying to do? What's the fire trying to do? It wants to go up to heaven. Why? Think about it. Because fire is very spiritual. It doesn't want to be in this materialistic world. It wants to go to its source, which is very, very spiritual. So the fire is fighting. It's a fight. The fire wants to leave. It's fighting to leave. The wick, what is pulling it down? And the oil is feeding the wick that it has, materialism, to keep it here. It's like, giving you the golden nuggets, right? And keep them here. So the point is the oil is feeding the wick is basically pulling the fire, and it's a constant tug of war. So in other words, the fire, right, the fire of our soul wants to leave our body. The body is pulling us down. And as long as you can feed it with the oil, or with the wax, which is oil, it will stay here. The minute you stop feeding it, game is over. Game is over. Now, think about the experience. Now I want you to put, today we can do it with computers. You can have 2 images on one screen, right? In the olden days computers you barely had 1, right? But today you can even have 2 or more. But let's say you have a screen and you have 2 images. And in one image you're going to have in front of you, you have the sitting by the pool or by the beach and the water's flowing nicely, right? Calmly. And then you have the fire, right? Coming out of the wick. Which one is the peaceful experience?
Water.
The water. It's peaceful. Which one is more of a struggle?
Fire.
The fire. Why is that? Because the water is at peace where it's at. It's yearning to be with God, but it's yearning to God in this world. God, yeah, this is your world. I know you created it. I know you're maintaining it, and I'm recognizing it. So I'm at peace with the world. I'm at peace with the world. That's point number 1. But now I'm at peace with the world. I recognize that God is the ultimate power, and it's peaceful. And that's a beautiful, and I'm grateful and thankful, like we said in the beginning of the class. But now with the fire is, oh my gosh, this is nonsense. This is silly. This is stupid. This is like, what are we selling ourselves short? Being busy with a materialistic world? So the fire wants to get out of here. It wants to cleave to God. That's what it wants to do. Now, which fire is stronger? Which yearning is stronger? The fire is much stronger. Which one's more at peace? The water's more at peace. So the Alter Rebbe says, love of fire is where basically you just want to leave the world. You just want to leave the world. You want to cleave to God. The fire wants to leave, and that's why it's called love of fire. That's why it's called gold, right? Because it's very hard to come by. It's a very high level to really accept the fact this world is materialism. It's silly. It's inappropriate. I'm wasting our time here. Let's cleave to God. Now, the reality is we all would like to reach that level. Isn't that a great level to be? You just want to get out of the world? So Alter Rebbe now deals with 2 issues. Number 1 is how we can get to that level. But B, what do we do when we get to that level?
Yeah.
Do we actually just leave and never come back? So the first Alter Rebbe says, in order to reach this level, in order for a person to reach this level, you have to be focused and have a clear vision about the infinite part of God and the way this materialistic world is really an illusion and 100% false. So the Alter Rebbe says, in order to soar high, right? Can you imagine a plane is trying to take off and you put on hundreds of tons of product on there? You think that's taking off that plane? No, it's too much weight. You got to unload the weight. The lighter something is, the easier to take off and to fly. Now, same with us. If we want to soar high, if we want to cleave to God, if we want to become one with God, in order to do that, we have to make sure we have 0 or close to 0 sin. Every sin puts on weight. With every weight, actually this world feels a little more comfortable and better. Because what's my definition of sin? A sin means I'm not listening to God. It means if I'm not listening to God, this world is a great place not to listen to God. Guess what? Because God's concealed. If I cleave to God, how's that going to work out if I'm not listening to Him? When do students misbehave? When the teacher's in the classroom, when the teacher goes out? When the teacher goes out. The teacher's standing there who misbehaves. So if you want to cleave to God, you have to have, in Hebrew it's called yirאת. You have to be in awe for sinning. Because if you do sin and you do transgress, you're never cleaving. It's not going to happen. So a person has to go into the mode of, like in the terms of Kabbalah, it's called sur meirah. You have to go away from evil. The more you go away from evil, the more you can cleave to God. Unfortunately, the more that you like bad and evil, it's going to be hard to cleave to God. So the first thing is, if you want to reach this level, which is a great level to be, wanting to leave. We're talking about the yearning to wanting to leave. You have to make sure you're totally not inspired or have no attraction to anything evil. Sur meirah and yirאת. Now, the reality is, but we're living in this world. So what happens? We want to leave. So the Alter Rebbe says there's something which is called, I'll tell you the Kabbalistic words in Hebrew and I'll translate, there has to be a ratzui and there has to be a shuv. What does that mean? The ratzui is the aspect of that wants to leave. You know, enough. I'm willing to give it all up. I don't need it all. I don't need nothing. The only thing I need is what? To be one with God. Let me tell you, that's peaceful. That's happy. But we know in the temple we had the priests, the Kohanim, and the Kohanim resembled Chesed, the Kohanim resembled Ava, the Levium, the Levites, resembled Yira. They had ecstasy, they wanted to leave. How are they drawn back to this world? They would sing songs and draw back down that powerful energy into the materialistic world. So in other words, you need to have both. You need the ratzui, and that gives you the love of fire, that you just want to leave. What means you want to leave? It's not that you want to. It's not so much you want to leave here. Well, it's A, you want to cleave to God, and B, in order to cleave to God, you want to leave here. And the way to leave here is to make sure that you don't do anything bad, and you have true awesomeness for God, that you're not going to sin at all. And the Alter explains that not only was that the avoda of the Levium in the temple, but ultimately the purpose of studying Torah and doing mitzvot is for that reason. Any time a person studies Torah, think of what are you doing when you're studying Torah? You're sitting down in the materialistic world on a chair by a table, you're taking out a book which is printed on physical paper, and you're reading text which is materialistic. You're reading the Torah of God, which refers to materialistic and physical things. So yeah, I have the yearning, I want to cleave to God. And God says, yeah, great. Take out the Torah, take that powerful energy, that ratzah that you have for me, and sure, bring it down to the world. So for example, you take out whether it's a chumash, and you read the mitzvot, and you read what the Torah has to tell you how to live your life, and you read some mishna, and you read some Talmud, or you take out the code of the Jewish law, and it tells you how you behave from when you get up in the morning, all throughout the day, all throughout the week on Shabbat, and then Yom Tov and Chagim, or in Sfirah when you count the Sfiras Omer. So when you take that yearning that you have to be with, that you want to be with God, and God says, yeah, no problem, I know you want to be with me, no problem. I gave you the tools to cleave to me in this world. By what? Taking out the Jewish law. What am I supposed to do from when I get up in the morning? Whether it's washing Negel Vasa, or making blessings, or praying, or studying Torah. Again, making a blessing before I eat and after I eat, or after you go out to the restroom. Whatever, before you go to sleep, do Shema, come Shabbat, how you observe Shabbat, and kosher, and so on and so forth. By doing all that, guess what? You're cleaving to me in this world the way I wanted it. Because God wants us to cleave to Him, but God wants us to take that powerful love, not only of water and silver, but love of fire, love of gold, and bring it back into this world. And we do that by how? By studying Torah, by doing mitzvot, and by praying. So notice, everybody has a thing, they want to yearn, they want to be with God. Oh my gosh, right? But if you can't stop and do a mitzvah, guess what? You're missing the main thing. In other words, if you think about it, there's specific mitzvot, and then there's, so to speak, global mitzvot. What's a global mitzvah? So take, for example, the mitzvah of Avas Yisrael. It's not a specific mitzvah, it's a global mitzvah, to love everybody. Right? Why is that such an important mitzvah? Very simple. Because when you love other people, you're loving the God in them. and you're loving the fact that this human being is human and makes mistakes and has flaws, but you love them anyway. That is taking that yearning you have to be with God and bringing it down to reality with human people that makes mistakes and people that have flaws, and we all have flaws, but you love them anyway because God told us to love them. That's called drawing God's light back into this world. And as we know, we study now Ethics of Our Fathers. So in Ethics of Our Fathers is a powerful mishna. It says like this: against your will, you're going to live, and against your will, you die. That's like a very funny statement, right? Is it against my will I'm going to live, or against I'm going to die?
Both.
Both. So we're going in circles. Now, if it's against my will I'm going to live, what does that mean? Really, I want to die. But against my will I'm going to live. Or against the will I'm going to die, really I want to live. But no, we're telling you you're going to die. So the author explains this Mishnah based on this concept beautifully. What does he say? Very simple. Our goal is really to have that love for God, the love of gold, the love of fire. We're what? We don't want to live. We want to be with God. We don't want physical life. We want our life to be godly life. So the Mishnah says, that's great. Take a hat off to you. I like it. But stop. Remember, that God that you want to be with, what did he tell you? I want you to live. Against your will. Yeah, because it's more exciting to cleave to the infinite God. It's more exciting to want to leave, just like the fire wants to pull out of the wick. But guess what? No. You're going to stick and you're going to have that relationship with that wick for a long time. As long as the oil lasts. You're going to, right? You're going to keep on having that relationship. Then guess what happens? So then you say, okay, great, life is wonderful. I love this world. And you become like very comfortable and complacent with this world. So the Mishnah says, wake up, getting too comfortable. No. You're already like, you like the world? No. Guess what? My dear friend, against your will, you're going to start dying. You got to start cleaving for God. You're getting too comfortable in this world. Not working. So, oh my gosh. Oh, really? It's for ecstasy? Yeah, I want to be with God. God, no. You're going too far. And remember, there's a world out there. You got to do mitzvot in the world. You got to pray, right, from a prayer book and say the words. You got to study Torah, right? You got to get along with everybody. You got to give charity in the materialistic world. So the world is most important. That's why it sounds like almost like we're crazy. We finally get comfortable. We're cleaving. We're running out of God. No, go back to the world. Finally, we love the world and everything's good. The job is good. The wife, the kids, the husband. Life is wonderful. God, no, you're too comfortable. Time to get back and start crawling out of the world. And guess what? We spoke about it before. It makes you young and it keeps you young. Because against our will, we're going to live. And against our will, we're going to die. Which in other words means very simple. We have to remember, primarily we have to want to cleave to God. And this world should not distract us and pull us anywhere. But once we're on that journey, bing, bing. No. Time to go back. And remember, there's a world out there. You got to do mitzvot, right? You got to deal. But then, and we get. That's what we are. We like being comfortable. We like getting to like a comfort zone. And God's job is to always break that comfort zone. Because if we break the comfort zone, now we're living. An alive person, think about it, if you're in a hospital, right? When it goes flat, you're in trouble. Ask any nurse, right? Or anyone's sat by a hospital bed. It has to go up and it has to go down. That's what life is all about. Cleaving, coming down. Ratzoi, v'shuv. Ratzoi, v'shuv. Now, you don't want crazy ones, you want to create some kind of rhythm, but even that, it can't be a rhythm that you're used to, because now you're going to be, that's not going to work either. So you need a rhythm that you're used to, and every once in a while a bump up, a bump down, and as long as you're bumping up and bumping down, you're doing great. Okay, so in other words, let's just recap this chapter, which as you can tell, it's a very fascinating chapter. What the author was saying is, up until chapter 49, we dealt with one love. A love of water. What's the love of water? There's a world. You recognize God created it, and wonderful.
And peaceful.
We're peaceful. Comes along now, and he says, in this chapter, we're going to stir the pot. We need to create a love of fire. You need to know that the reality is what? Who's real? God's real. That's the infinite. And where should we cleave to? To that infinite God. When we do that, we will have love of fire. We'll have real love. Love of gold. But as you do that, remember that's not the that's not the ultimate. The ultimate is al kרכך, against your will. You got to come back in this world and make this world a place of God to hang out, doing mitzvot, studying Torah and praying, And as you get comfortable, guess what? The cycle starts again. And that's why it's called fire, because it never ends. Water, you create this beautiful calm place and you're relaxed. Fire is always, it's burning up and burning down. It's always going somewhere. But guess what? That's a good thing to be. It's a good thing to be alive. It's better to be alive, right, than not to be alive. So this chapter, you think we're coming to an end, right? Is the exciting chapter. Chapter 50 is all about love of gold, love of fire, being on fire to cleave to God, but then again taking that inspiration and bringing it back into this world through Torah and Mitzvot.